Hey guys, Adam and Sophie back with yet another episode of Encite Live.
Keep coming.
They keep coming even if you don't want them. We are sorry. This week I don't know if you're a fan of Stranger Things.
I am.
Yes.
I'm not sure where we are. Where's the seasons at?
I think this is 4 or 5.
Then I'm way behind watching it.
So good
think
though.
We're on that. Yeah, great show.
Good.
I love it.
And for a while I've kind of been like, where is it at? When is it coming back? And I saw this cool article today, and it's a billboard that's up in LA. And there's no like coming soon, Stranger Things, insert date here. It's basically just kind of this cool, mysterious 80s vintage aesthetic. And like people are immediately like, that's Stranger Things.
Okay.
Which is, I think, like a very cool nod to how well the show has like built this environment and like has this like cult following kind of. But the article then just goes on to like other really great examples of billboard advertising in recent years. Mm-hmm. And it kind of just got me thinking like that's a medium that I think is not something that we like think of as part of our like marketing package when we necessarily talk to clients, or it's not like, I mean, we talk a lot about video and we talk a lot about like SEO and we talk a lot about social media and those kind of more flashy, like tech forward tactics.
Yeah, digital, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that it's cool to see like this more, environmental advertising like really taking off and people really liking it and not being a thing of the past,
Yeah, I think it's one of those things to where, I mean, we always talk about it with clients is, the best marketing mix is including digital, traditional, analog, whatever you want to call it, I mean, but the reason there's such a huge focus on digital is just, number one, it's very trackable, right? Mm-hmm. Like number two, it's pretty cost effective. I mean, billboard is a big commitment.
Oh yeah.
TV is a big commitment. Radio is a big commitment, and there's consistency there. But yeah, it's I love to see where some of these kind of big budgets do, because they get really creative with it.
Yeah.
And they kind of, in this particular case, that I think what they're doing is that they are kind of fostering some of that word of mouth and that mystery, right? And so people are talking about it, we're talking about it.
Right, exactly.
But I can know somebody's going to go and see that billboard and say, hey, I forgot Stranger Things is coming out. I'm going to look that up. Maybe I'm Googling that. So I would guess that, their searches for Stranger Things has shot through the roof, their analytics, that kind of thing going on.
Again, all hand in hand. Yeah.
But it goes to show you like, what some big marketing budgets can do, but it does kind of show you how creative you can get. And if you can implement, kind of a two-pronged strategy between the more traditional and the digital strategy, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And it's just nice to see something like different, it's nice to not talk about like a commercial that I saw. It's something that I think I kind of tune out a lot. Like when I'm, in a car and I'm passing billboards, I'm not necessarily thinking about them because they're generally not super creative like this one is,
Right.
But yeah, I think it's just kind of like a fun application of something that's a little bit more old school. And I know whenever like we have clients that suggest or request kind of more physical marketing, like our creative director gets very excited to work on print again.
Yeah.
And I think that that's just like, because we're doing it less, and it's cool to see it done well, I guess.
Yeah, and I think that the billboard itself, is always meant for that split second kind of awareness, and it seems like some of the creative is, and we see this a lot, right? Like, because everybody's trying to cram as much as you can into the space, right? Like, but you have to go in with the strategy and knowing that it's not about you couldn't put a QR code on a thing, somebody driving by trying to take a QR code, right? Like, so it's awareness, primarily awareness thing, and it's just reinforcing some of the other marketing messages. So the marketing messages do have to come into concept with that. So, but you mentioned something about print, right? So speaking of print, the other thing we were talking about today is more traditional work that we've been doing in Pickens Tech.
Yes.
And we started to develop some more, print materials. So we have a brochure for one of the departments, and we've been working on that for the last several weeks. But it's now kind of coming to fruition, and we're going to print. And we just thought that, putting that in the marketing mix, it's not dead. Print's not dead. No. Billboard's not dead. It's just a different mix now.
Yeah, and I think that it's also interesting. So the brochure that we were developing for them was for their career services department to sort of act as like a leave behind to potential employers. And I think that it's like, as like if I put myself in the shoes of someone who might hire a Pickens Tech grad, it's like I'm probably getting a lot of information from a lot of colleges and high schools and, you know, apprenticeship programs in the area with similar information to my email inbox. And this is kind of like, oh, well, now I have this physical thing. I'm probably going to forget about that less because it is less common now, you know? So I thought that it was interesting that wasn't even like our suggestion. That was a specific ask from them,
right.
Which I think also kind of just goes to show like people still want that. You know?
And see, there's still a need, right? Like there is something for somebody to physically handle and look at and take home. But I think you're also differentiating yourself because of the emphasis on digital, right? Like, and there is a top of mind, there is an awareness thing to where that individual sees that on top of their desk or at home in the kitchen, and you know, it's still kind of a reminder of them, right? Like, of course, they can just take it and chuck it in the trash, and that's you know, okay too. But at the same time, you know, once you delete an email, that email's gone, right? It's not in your face anymore, right? So I think that the blend there, but I think the other thing we wanted to talk a little bit about was like the creative process for that. So it was a fun process, but we still having to stay on brand strategy because that's our thing.
Kind of the whole thing.
Right. Makes the world go round. But yeah, still trying to use, you know, visually appealing photography and shapes and textures and all that kind of stuff. And I think we nailed it. And I think our creative director nailed it with the brochure. So I'm really happy with it. And I know the client's pretty happy.
Yeah. And I think that it was cool because this is one of the, we use there's a lot of great photography that comes out of Pickens just because they have a photography program and there's a lot of talented people over there. But this was really cool because all of the student imagery in the brochure are legitimate Pickens students. It's not stock, and I think that just adds to it, along with we're continuing to use the colors and the shapes that have, now been around in their branding for years. And it just, it came together in a really strong, cohesive way, and kind of like how we were talking to the Stranger Things strategy, like everything's working together, you know?
And I think there's something to be said about the photography there.
Yes.
And the actual authenticity of real students in real classrooms using real kind of Pickens equipment. And that goes a long way. And I know that we have a partner in Covert Photography that helps us do some photography for us whenever we need it. But just to see some of those things when you have that custom photography or real photography rather than the stock, the stuff we can get offline or online, it makes a world of difference. And there is such a huge difference in the quality of the piece when we see that. So I can't stress that enough, but I understand, hiring a photographer to go out on location or do these kinds of things. So clients don't necessarily have budgets all the time, and I get it. And so the other thing that we talked about too with, if you can't do kind of that custom photography, is always kind of make that photography your own. It's not just that piece. And whether you kind of manipulate it, do that kind of things. I think we did that I know we did that for a couple of clients that we were building out new websites. So we were branding some of that stock photography. So at least at the point, it's bringing that cohesiveness, that consistency back, which, by the way, that Pickens brochure does a heck of a job of the 3 C's.
Yes.
And it looks terrific. Yeah. So I'm pretty proud of it.
It's one of the things that I think, like, at least from a creative standpoint, looks the best that we've done for them. That was it was a fun project, and it was I think a good, kind of like a lesson in terms of like, the 3 C's that we're constantly stressing and how that can come together and look really nice physically.
That's great. I hope Pickens likes it.
Yeah.
So that's it for today. We're talking all things branding, marketing, creative on our next episode. So we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks for watching.